Hey, good afternoon. Another great verse. Um, you know, this one seems like it's short, which is great. A lot of revelation here. Uh, Maybe a little bit, I sense some urgency, and maybe a little bit of a warning here, and urgency in this verse. So there's that. Okay, so first I'll read this verse the way most of us will see it in our Bibles, and then take every word back to its origin, every single word we can, using the lexicons and the Strongs. Being led by His Holy Spirit, the most important thing. Spirit has to teach you spiritual things. No doubt about that. You have to be taught by God Himself. You have to allow Him to teach you. And you have to let go of your preconceptions of the things that man have taught you that are basically on the physical. And that's the way it is. And I'm no better than anybody else, that's for sure. But, I hear Him, and I don't know what these verses say. Like I said, I have no idea. I have no preconceived, I go into it and I just look at the words, and His Holy Spirit makes the ones He wants me to write stand out. And He just leads me right through them. As to what He does, it's a beautiful thing. So this is Romans 8, verse 35. 8:35. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? So there's that verse. Now, it's pretty good, but there's a lot of details that are in that pictographic language. And I believe that's why He chose the time and place and the languages and everything. It's been preserved. The original writings were perfect, I'm sure, but the translation of men is missing, lacking details, especially spiritual detail. Okay? That's why we have to abide in His Word daily. Got to hold on to it. Hold on to it. So this is Romans 8:35. Here's the spiritual detail of this verse. Every man whosoever that has separated themselves from our husband by a divorce, to depart to a space of chaos lying between two places, being marked, we've been marked by our condition of their home, their abode, their body, their dwelling place, our physical form, having an opportunity to be cultivated by a vacancy within us, by brotherly love and affection, goodwill, benevolence, and specifically charity, to be content and welcome others, having a personal attachment chiefly of the heart and the latter of the head, being reconciled as one of the bridegroom's friends. So we are being reconciled as one of the bridegroom's friends, who on his behalf asks the hand, and I've seen this in multiple verses, who on his behalf asks the hand of the bride, and also renders him various services. We all have many gifts, right? In closing the marriage and celebrating the nuptials, choosing love willingly by Christ, the anointed Son of God, expressing the quality and characteristics attributed to Jesus, endowing believers with the gifts of the Holy Spirit, consecrating them for service. That means dedicated for a divine purpose, for service, by furnishing all of us who are born again of His Spirit, come into agreement with Him through love, by His love for us, furnishing us with what is needed for employment to help in determining and controlling the destinies of men who are grasping at hollowness in a storm of chaos, of oppression, affliction, tribulation, and distress, burdened by persecution, pressed on every side by a worn-out path of a male goat, feeding on the fruit of men, to wound them, breaking them into pieces by division, down in place and time, to destroy them by a demon or a dire calamity or extreme affliction and anguish, or to be saved by a narrow strait of closeness, to stand made firm and keep our family of a kingdom intact, to escape in safety, being weighed in a balance, standing on the foundation of a covenant of a steadfast mind, set forth and established, to be established and ordained in an upright and active position for a purpose by God's intent, explained by discourse, by writing or communication, spoken or written communication. And in the Latin, that means, discourse means running to and fro. I thought that to be very revealing. So in the Latin, it means running to and fro. Indeed, run swiftly to reach the, and here's where I see an urgency here. He's telling us to run swiftly to reach the goal you seek after, earnestly to acquire it, pressing forward to serve the King, specifically teaching to follow after Christ, or else a famine of destitution, which is wanting and needing what is necessary for life. Okay, so otherwise a famine of destitution in the Latin, that means being deserted and abandoned, empty and forsaken, in a forsaken place, to fail, being left behind. Otherwise, a famine of destitution, being left behind. You will be left behind if you don't achieve this goal and acquire it to follow after Jesus Christ. There we go. Being left behind, rather naked, being naked as a soul, a naked soul whose garment is the body, that is already in danger, in peril, most certainly by the punishment of those that are still at war within themselves. And this is, so you're clothed in your own flesh. You're naked, you're forsaken. You have not reached this goal of following Christ yet. You are not clothed in the righteousness of Jesus Christ. You have not been clothed and covered by His Holy Spirit. So there's that verse. There's that verse right there. A lot more detail there, huh? A lot more detail. Beautiful. I mean, the things he's revealing. He's saying, run swiftly now. Run swiftly to acquire that goal of following Christ. Because it's time. It's time. It's so close. It's so close. I mean, look what's going on around the world. You know, overseas, Middle East, everything that's occurring. Everybody's... this world's going crazy. It's going crazy. Because they're scared to death. The fear of death, the fear of leaving this physical form, this world, is a huge part of what keeps everybody in bondage. It is. It is. Now, we have a job to do while we're here. Love and respect everybody. That's what draws people to Christ. His love for all of us. That's what drew us to Him. He called us first by His love. Right? Because we're all His children. But if you reject Him, now you're of your father, Satan, the devil of this world. You belong to the flesh. You belong to the physical world because that's what you love. That's the way it is. Spiritual book, only the Spirit of God can reveal the truth that's contained in it to you. It's truth. It's a beautiful thing. So there seems to be an urgency in that message. You know, a warning and an urgency to run swiftly. Run swiftly. All right, so let's do it. Let's attain that goal. Be born again in the Spirit. Ask Him to heal your blindness, your deafness, and earnestly prayer and supplication and worship. All right. Have a great day. Bye.